Okay, so welcome everybody to tonight's webinar. As you can see, tonight we're covering team building for beginners. Oh, and just one other little hint. Sorry, I keep wanting to say this because Maria mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Sometimes the audio can be a little bit crackly or the quality is not brilliant. If you have headphones or earphones, Maria says when she listens using the headphones, the quality is much better. So maybe just if you've got crackly speakers or something, headphones might help a lot. So feel free to do that if you find that useful. So this is number 4 in my series of 8 webinars that I run every Wednesday night or most Wednesday nights. And so it takes us about 8 weeks, maybe 9 or 10 weeks altogether to get around the whole lot. But they're all recorded, so I'll show you at the end of tonight's webinar where the recordings are. So although tonight we're talking about team building, if you've just started, I know Daniel had just started, there's a couple of other people I don't recognise their names, so maybe there's some other new starters. Then if you wanted to look at the getting started one or the first 4 weeks, you don't have to wait 5 or 6 weeks till we get there. You can go and watch the recording from kind of a couple of weeks ago. But I'll show you at the end where they all are. So tonight we're going to be covering, do you have to build a team? Lots of people join kleeneze not with the intention of building a team, just to kind of earn a little bit extra. Should you build a team though? And if you decide you are going to, what tools do you need? How to get started? And I've just got a little simple process that you can get started with to help you with that. So hopefully you'll find this useful. So I've got a quick question for you. In order to be a successful kleeneze distributor, you have to build a team. Anybody like to share your opinions with me? Quick yes or no would be good. Are you an in or an out? A yes or a no? Emma says yes. Max says yes. Elliot says yes. Ooh, that's looking quite one-sided. Ooh, Dan says yes. Oh, everyone's saying yes tonight. This will be an easy vote. Karen. Ooh, a little voice of dissension there. You don't have to, but it helps. So actually, the answer is no, you don't have to build a team. It depends what you think of as success. Your success might simply be delivering your catalogues regularly to your customers, earning yourself an extra £50 a week, very part-time. And in fact, most distributors don't team build. Not because they don't want to, maybe they're just a bit unsure or a bit nervous, but a lot of people don't, at least at the beginning. However, it's really important to know that you can. And quite often, new distributors, you can almost become an accidental team builder. And because it's really important to know that, if you're delivering catalogues to an area, and one of your customers sort of says, oh, you don't know if there's any other jobs going with your company, do you? Something like that. And of course, you would say, oh, actually, yes, we are looking for people. It doesn't matter if they're your next door neighbour or they live 20 miles away. If they don't join in your team, they could join in somebody else's team. So always say, oh, yes, we are. Even if you're new in the business, you can just say to them, oh, let me find some information for you, and I'll drop it round or I'll email it or whatever it might be. So often, even if you're not actively looking to build a team, you can almost accidentally start building a team. So my recommendation to you is that you do consider building a team, and there are a number of reasons for that. And firstly, you can earn a lot more with a team than you can do just on your own. There are some guys doing catalogues, treating it like a full-time job and doing the online side full-time, earning £3,000, £4,000 a month, which is fantastic. But you can earn even more than that if you've got a team. And the other big advantage, and to me this is the more important advantage really, is you build what we call a residual income, and that means you get paid if you're ill or if you're on holiday, because obviously because you're self-employed, if you're unable to put your catalogues out, or you're not advertising on Facebook, or you're not able to deliver your orders, if you're ill or you're just away not doing the business, then you're not going to get paid if you're doing it entirely on your own. But if you build a team, the residual income that you get means that if you're ill or you're on holiday or you're just taking a break for the business or any reason, you're still getting paid all of your bonuses, even if you do absolutely no retail yourself for the month. So if you think it might be useful to start team building, then you're in the right place, because I'm just going to show you a few ways to get started quickly. So you'll need a couple of things with you, and this changes all the time, but this is just a bit of a guide. You need some kind of diary, and the reason for that is, obviously, if you're just speaking to one person a week, then you probably don't need a complicated diary. Just kind of remember that you need to call them up again in a couple of days. But once you start speaking to more than one or two or three people at a time, you kind of need to keep track of, who did I speak to, and did I say I was going to call them back again tomorrow, or did I say I was going to drop them a little information background, or whatever it might be. And a really useful tool to think of, and again, this is maybe not something you need from day one, but going forward, you need some kind of contact manager. And these are just basically fairly simple software tools, usually a website, something like that, that allow you to keep track of all of your contacts and leads, all of the people who have said at some point, yes, I might be interested in earning a bit of extra money. You obviously need a telephone, because with the best will in the world, you can email things to people, you can text them, you can send all sorts of things. But you will be far more successful if you can build a bit of rapport with people by talking to them. So again, if they're local to you, obviously you can pop round and see them. But if they're a bit further away, then the telephone is important. And you need some information to send them. If you've got friends and family that might be interested, then you can kind of just show them what you do. But if it's somebody a bit further afield or somebody you don't know, then quite often it's a lot more useful to be able to send them some information so they can kind of have a look at it in their own time. Now, a fantastic way to get started is what we call your warm list. So it's never ever been easier than to think of people who might be interested, or rather might know somebody who might be interested in earning some extra money. So a great way to get started is just make a list of 10 people that you know. And these can be your friends, family, people that you know well enough to just sort of ring up and have a quick chat with. The easiest way to find that is look at your Facebook friends list, look at the contact list on your mobile phone. You probably have, without realizing it, 400 people at your fingertips that you could contact. And then a great way to do is just contact them using what we call a third-party approach. You can just send them a quick message, something like this. Hi Laura, just wanted to let you know I've just started my own online business. It's going really, really well. Who do you know that would like to earn some extra money working from home online? I don't know about you, but that's probably going to arouse a bit of curiosity, especially if they're your friends, and especially if they're on Facebook and you're on Facebook and you've been saying, I'm so excited, I've just made myself an extra £200 this month, this is going so well. They're going to be looking at that and thinking, this looks really interesting, I wonder what he's up to or she's up to. And you don't have to stop at 10. You can add more people to this list every day. And the important thing to do then is once you've sent that message, don't just wait for them to reply, just send them a quick follow-up. Did anyone come to mind? The importance of what you're doing now isn't so much that Laura in this example, or the person that you're speaking to, is going to say, oh yeah, I'm really interested in that, I'd love to earn a bit of extra money, what's it all involved, what's it about? But what you're doing is people might say, well, no, not at the moment, thanks. But you're sowing some seeds. You're sharing the idea that you've got a way for people to earn a bit of extra money. Because at this point in time, the people that you're contacting might be quite happy in their job. They're reasonably happy with their income. Everything's going okay with their life. But you never know when things change. And also, you never know what's going on behind closed doors. So that they may be worried about work, they may be stressed out. They may know somebody who's just had their hours cut, or someone who's just had another baby and doesn't really want to go back to work afterwards. All sorts of different things. So it's not so important that you find people today who are going to join your business, although that's absolutely fantastic if you do. What's important is that you sow your seeds so they know that you've got an opportunity that they might be interested in. Another great place to find people that might be interested in joining business is your selling group. So if you're on Facebook, obviously if you're just doing the catalogs and you're not doing the online side, then this isn't specifically relevant to you. But if you're on Facebook and you've got a selling group, just bear in mind that your selling group is not for selling to. Well, it is, but actually it's a network. It's really important that you build it big as quickly as you can. So 5,000 plus people in your... sorry guys, stop. someone trying to get in touch. And build it as quickly as you can. Get 5,000 plus people in that group, because all of these people are people that may be interested in joining the business, and they've got a connection to you. They're in a selling group where you're posting things, where you're advertising products, and so you grow your selling group in a number of different ways. A great way to do it is make sure you ask your friends to join, invite them to join, ask them if they know anybody who might be interested to join your group. Ask them as well. Promote your group in the other local groups in your area and use competitions. The bigger and the faster you can grow your group, the more opportunity, the more people you've got to share this opportunity with those people. And don't think that this is just a one-off exercise. When you're asking your friends to invite their friends, or when you're promoting it in local groups, this isn't something that you just do for the first 2 or 3 weeks and then think, right, that's it. You can just repeat this over and over again for as long as you want. And then, once you've kind of grown your group, and literally you can start doing this when you've been in the business for a week or 2 weeks. You don't have to wait until your group is 5,000. You can just post a little post in amongst all of your other kind of pictures and posts and products and things, something along the lines of this. Hey guys, I'm just curious, is there anyone who would like to earn some extra cash just by advertising some of the stuff in this group like I do? This is what I earned. Or if you haven't got a check yet, if you're new in the business, you can say, speak to your sponsor, and they will often have a check that you can use. You can say, this is what my friend Hayley earned in her first few weeks. Comment below or message me if you're interested. And the best checks, this one here, I don't know if you can see very well because it's a bit small, but this was one of my team members, Hayley. In her first 4 weeks, she made £192. Now, if you've been in the business for a little while, you might be thinking, well, 200 quid a month isn't really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 500 or 1,000 or 5,000. But the point is, to a lot of people, an extra £200 a month, part-time, on top of what they're currently earning, is massive. 200 quid a month could pay bills, go towards the rent, or save up for a holiday or a wedding or anything. So a £200 check is far more believable than if you put a check up saying, this is what my sponsor earned, £10,000 in a month. Because people will just sort of think, oh yeah, that's a bit unbelievable, that's a bit of a scam. But 200 quid in a month is believable and really, really exciting to a lot of people. So, if you do that, the beauty of responses that you get to this kind of lead are, firstly, these leads are free. It hasn't cost you anything other than a bit of time, because obviously you're just doing it on Facebook, you're just posting it, you're not having to pay for any advertising. Secondly, they have Facebook. So one of the key tools to selling our products online is if you've got a Facebook account. So all of the people obviously do. And they can see the evidence themselves. If they're in your selling group and you've got an active group where you're selling things and you're posting stuff up and you're posting things, you've got a copy of your check, then people can see that it works and they can see what they need to do. It's just a fantastic way of showcasing the business. You can see in this picture on the right hand side, I know you can't see the details, but that was the check I put up. And just look at all those comments underneath. These are all people sort of saying, oh, can I have some info, please? Oh, yes, please. Me too, please. I can't remember how many responses we got from that. Now, not all of those people will join the business, but I can't remember now. But when we first did that, I think we had 3 or 4 people join the business within a couple of weeks, just because I put that up. And if you have 3 or 4 people join your team, your income will go from kind of £200 a month to £400, £500, £600 a month very quickly. And as I was saying earlier, the first checks that you get are the best. Because even if it's you that's got the £5,000 or the £10,000 check, if you've been in a business for 6-7 years or whatever and built it up to this massive residual income, people are going to want to say, well, that's all very well knowing what's possible in a few years' time, but what did you earn when you first started off? So that's why these first checks of £100, £200, £300 are so valuable. So, I'm just going to go through a very simple process that you can follow, so please feel free to make a few notes of this. And I would say this isn't going to give you all the detail that you need, so speak to your sponsor to add a bit of kind of meat to the bones, if you like, but hopefully this will just give you a feeling. So, the simple process is, someone replies to one of your adverts, and that, as I say, that could just be You might have sent a message to a warm somebody you know through your warm list, or put an advert up on Facebook. So you then send them some information. You then follow up. As I said earlier, because not everyone's going to reply straight away. And then if they're interested, then you sign them up. So very, very simple. I know it's not as simple as that, but bear with me. So if someone replies to an advert, it's really important to send them some information immediately. So if you do have a contact manager set up, you can set it up so that you've got a website. People click on your website, they enter their details, and the software behind the website automatically sends them some information. So that's a really quick way of doing it. But you don't have to pay for all of that at the beginning, because these websites are normally, you have to pay a little bit towards them. Again, speak to your sponsor to see specifically which tools they use, because it's much better if you use the same tool as your sponsor, because obviously they can help you with that. But even if you don't have that, you can manually send them some information. So, just a link to the videos, the little independent you kleeneze video is a fantastic thing to send them to it. So just make sure you've got either an email ready, or obviously if it's somebody on Facebook, you can just literally send them the link. So make sure you send them that straight away. That's the one I was referring to. So if you're not aware of that video, hopefully you've all seen it, either because you've maybe joined having watched that, but speak to your sponsor again, or just go onto YouTube and do a search for, if you search for something like kleeneze independent you, you'll see the video then. So you can then just forward that on to anybody who might be interested. That's just a really well done, professional, short video. Literally it's 4 minutes, and that'll give them a really good idea of what's involved. And then, and this is really, really important, you can't just send them that and wait for them to say, yay, I want to join. So I'm just having a slurp from my cup of tea. It's really important to follow them up within, to call them within 24 hours. Now, if it's somebody who just replied on Facebook, you might not have a telephone number for them yet. So that's okay, just send them a Facebook message within 24 hours. What did you think of the video? Did you get a chance to have a look at it? But if you do have a number, then ring them up, because it's this rapport that you build with them. That's so important. People don't join kleeneze, they join you. Because if they know you and like you and trust you and they feel they're going to get some support, they will join. And so when you do call them up, especially if this is somebody who you don't yet know, so obviously if it's a friend, you kind of don't really need to build the rapport. It's often really easy if it's a friend, because they see what you're doing, you're so excited about it, they'll join because they're excited and they don't want to miss out on what you're doing. But if it's somebody that's just replied to an advert so you don't know them yet, then you can just ask them a bit about their situation. At the beginning, the purpose of this first call is not to tell them how the business works, it's to understand their situation and build a bit of rapport. So just ask them, I always say, oh hi, can you tell me a little bit about your situation? What is it you do at the moment? And then shut up. Just listen to what they've got to say. Because a lot of people, some people will just sort of say, oh, I'm not doing anything at the moment. And it can be a bit hard to get to know them a little bit. But other people will say, oh, well, I just saw this on Facebook and it looked quite interesting. I've been in your shop for a while. I've seen the sort of stuff that you do. I'm at home at the moment with my couple of young children, so it's really difficult for me to find work. But I'm always on Facebook and I love some of the products. And you can kind of hear them talking and explaining why they think this would be perfect for them. And you don't have to kind of get them to sign up. They're saying to you, I just want to do it. Where do I sign? So give them the opportunity to talk. Don't just try to kind of blast them with all your experiences. It is really important, though, that they have watched the video. So ask them if they've watched it, and then say to them, what did you like most about it from your point of view? Because again, what this will do, this will help you to understand their situation. And some people will say, oh, I really like the products, they look brilliant. Or they will say, what I like most about it was it was so flexible, because I've got kiddies at school and I need to be able to fit around the school run, and if little Johnny's off sick, I don't really want to have to ring up work and say I can't go in. Or they might say, oh, I really like the idea you could build this up to a big income. So the whole purpose of this call is for them to talk and you to listen. And you just ask questions to kind of encourage them to tell you about their situation and what they like best about it. And then if they say, yeah, it all really look really interesting, I'm interested in finding out more about it, the next thing to do is to go through it with them in a bit more detail. And at the beginning, especially when you're learning, it's best just to book an appointment with that. And all I mean by an appointment is just say something like, oh, I've just got to go into some training for a bit, but I could call you later on this evening or tomorrow morning if that's better for you. Just it gives you a little bit of space to then work out, okay, what do I do next? So, but if you've been doing this for a little while and you know straight away what you're going to do and how you're going to present the business and show the business to them, you can go straight into that if you want to do that. Now, I'm not going through in detail how you present the business to them. Again, you probably need to speak to your sponsor because different teams do it in slightly different ways. So I don't want to kind of undermine if there's a particular way that your team goes through it. But speak to your sponsor about how you show the business to a prospect, and then you can kind of follow that path. So, contact manager. If you're serious about building your business, I do recommend you invest in a contact manager. All a contact manager is a piece of software that keeps a list of all of the people who've replied to your adverts. Now, the reason it's really important is that most people who ask for information will not join your business immediately. You know, it might not be right for them at the time. They didn't realize there was a cost to join up. They were really looking for just a job where they'd get a regular wage. All sorts of different reasons they don't sign up immediately. But when they say no, what they really mean is just not now. So you need to build a big database of people who want to join, and there are examples of people who've got hundreds of thousands of people in their contact manager over the years. This isn't going to happen overnight, but over kind of 5, 10, 15 years, you can build up a massive database of people who are aware of your opportunity and it just wasn't quite right for them at that time. And so you can, using your contact manager, send little success stories of new team members who have just joined, made themselves £300 in their first month, fitting it around their 2 children, one of which had chickenpox and they had to take a week off and all sorts of things. If you can imagine sending a story like that to 100,000 people, there are going to be mums out there whose little girl has just had chickenpox and they've had to take a week off work and they're in the real grief, who are going to say, oh, you know what, I looked at this a couple of years ago and I thought, you know what, I think I'm going to have another look at it now. As I said, you never know when their circumstances might change. Now, when you're signing somebody up, when somebody sort of says, oh yeah, I'm really, really interested, always do the sign up with them. Now, it's so simple these days, so you can do it face to face if they're close to you, or you can do it over the phone, but stay on the phone. Don't just kind of send them the link and expect them to get on with it. Because if they've got a few queries or they're not kind of sure about anything, I guarantee they won't call you up and say, I don't understand what step 3 is all about. So it just takes 10 minutes to go through it, and while you're doing this, it just gives them the opportunity to ask a few questions and also for you to expand on some of the questions you had earlier. So it's just another opportunity to build that rapport with them, because that rapport is really important when they've joined your team and you're kind of helping them get off to a great start. And once you've been through it a few times, you kind of know the sorts, you know what screen's coming up next, where they have to tick boxes and click on links, so you can anticipate any questions they might have, and that just makes the whole 10-minute process go much smoothly. Now, when that's completed and they've got to the end and the payment's been successful and so on, big congratulations, welcome to the team, really looking forward to working with you. And that's a great time just to kind of make them feel that this is the right decision for them. A couple of things I always do with them at that point is, firstly, make sure they send you a Facebook friend request so you can tell them how to find you on Facebook, because then you can kind of share things straight away with them. And plan your getting started appointment. So a great thing, I do this, try and do this within 24 hours, do a getting started call with them. Again, speak to your sponsor. If people might do this in different ways. And I think doing it so you can actually see them, so again, either face-to-face or using Skype, is fantastic. And the purpose of the getting started call is just to kind of get a really good understanding of why they joined this business. What are they looking for? Because if you're their sponsor, your main role is to help and support them to achieve whatever their goals are. And if you don't know what their goals are and why they're joining the business, it's really difficult for you to do that. And that's the real purpose of that getting started appointment, to get to know them, to understand their reasons. And then also if you have like a little induction webinar with your team or something like that to help them get started, depending on whether they're doing the catalogue side or the Facebook side, plan all of that. So this kind of signing up, the actual sign up process itself only takes 10 minutes, but then you're probably going to have a 5 or 10 minute chat after that to connect up on Facebook, chat a bit about the getting started appointment the next day, explain a little bit about the induction webinar or the induction meeting or whatever it is that you guys have. So I hope that all kind of makes sense so far. As I say, a big kind of congratulations, welcome to the team. That's a great thing to do at this point. Okay guys, that's kind of covered pretty much everything I was going to go through. Now I know there are some parts there that I didn't go through with in a lot of detail. There isn't really enough time in this webinar to go through it all in great detail. Please speak to your sponsor. Hopefully you've got a bit of inspiration and a kind of a bit of a structure for how you might start team building. So what we went over this evening was whether or not you have to build a team. And the answer is no, but I think you should. What tools you need, it's not difficult really. You know, a telephone and diary is probably the minimum stuff that you need. A great way to get started using your warm list, as I say, your Facebook friends list or your contact list on your phone. A little bit of a third-party approach is a fantastic way to do that. Then what to do when you get a lead, what information to send them. You remember that independent you video, and then how to follow up. Just a quick call to build a bit of rapport, and people will join you because they will start to feel that they know you and they like you and they trust you. Okay guys, so that's pretty much covered everything I was going to go over. I'm just going to turn off the recording now, so bear with me while I do